everyone, and we're continuing with the Mulan thing. Just gonna touch up on some subjects that were, brought upon to me, with the previous video. Thank you very much for the replies and everything. First of all, I want to start the Daily Mail, Daily Wire, the one with Ben Shapiro. Just forgot it, they Braveheart. They put out an article that basically says word by word what the way I described the film. Of course, they do it a lot more concise and stuff like that, because I just tend to do these ad-libbed, so I don't have a script or anything. But they said everything, like, oh, it was more towards the original. There's no SJW crap. They missed on the emotionality of the first one, and I agreed on those, and I put all those, and my video was out before that article was posted, so that's a good sign. At least I'll be honest, my ego is right now through the freaking roof, way up there. Because, in spite of sometimes we have differences of thought with Mr. Shapiro and his group, I still consider him a very intellectually honest and objective person. So the fact that little old me basically had the same thoughts that he, as his group had, that's pretty nice. So I just wanted to touch on some few aspects that were given to me. First of all, chi. Chi is not magic. It's not to be confused with ki, for example, in Dragon Ball and other animes. Chi is basically internal strength, and it tends to come from things like morale. So when she, she espouses the three virtues, your bravery, loyalty, and truth, and, she couldn't say truth, you're an incomplete person. And that's why her inner power was lessened. In spite of everything, her inner power does not mean she has superpowers, because we could clearly see that Bori Khan, when they had an absolute close quarter combat, when they locked swords, he clearly beat her, pushed her back, and disarmed her many times, when that happened to her, right? She was disarmed many times during the movie, so that's another situation that I will touch on a little more later, right? So that's taking that out of the way. As I said, it's not that she has superpowers. It's just that her internal strength, which she's always had, because we've seen her act like this as a kid. She was trained by her father. We saw in the part where she drops down the building and falls, lands on her feet and all that kind of things. So she always had this. Okay, let me give you one example. Like, imagine you're a boxer, or you're going to go into a fight. When are you going to fight better? When you just won the lottery? Or when your mother, God forbid, assuming you had a good relationship with her, literally passed away 5 minutes ago? Of course, it's going to be on the first one. On the second one, you're going to be depressed. You're going to be, pulled down. You're going to have a lot of weight on your shoulders. You're not going to fight very well. So that would be a good analogy of what she means. This means like breath, like spirit, like the soul, which it's a concept that doesn't exist, but it's a long story, So you have this, and that's why I compared it to morale. When she became true to herself and true to others, then she was, an integral person, and she had more strengths. But that is a limit of normal strengths. As I said, even a guy who doesn't have chi as much developed, because he does, everyone has chi. Like Bori Khan, for the fact that he's physically bigger than her, he could, when they were in locking swords, he knocked her out. Simple. It's not like, oh, I have chi and I throw lightning bolt on my ass. So that doesn't work that way. So we can take that away. Some people were arguing like, she is magic. But no, it doesn't make it. She didn't use magic. And the only one who used magic was Gong Li's character, who is pretty good, by the way. Then there's the other issue about her being a Mary Sue, which is, okay, I'm going to say it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. First of all, it is clear that she has been training since she was a kid. And that's very clear in the first scenes. The first scene when she's in the field with her father doing all the moves. Then there's a reason why she could fall off a freaking building and land on her feet with no problem, because that came from all the way from there. And as I said in my previous review, I would have just preferred if they would have shown an instance of her using her signature move to show, oh, okay, this came from childhood, so this is how she trained. Maybe it was in the first scene. I just hit the thought just hit me as I said this is ad-lib, so I'll just check that again and confirm. But I would have preferred a more overt, use of her signature move. Another reason why she's not a Mary Sue is because she makes mistakes. And obviously, there is character development in this, where she does what she thinks she has to do, which is okay. We can say that, taking the place of her father, that is very honorable. And hence why the new virtue comes up, besides the three. And the fact that she is easily defeated by a lot of characters, even nameless supporting characters, all the time. And she needs teams to help her reach her goal. So it's not like she's overpowered, that she has something that no effort or kind of stuff like that. That's just comments from haters who still, have issues with Captain Marvel and Rey Palpatine, which in those cases, they are very legitimate. That is, they are basically Mary Sue's. The only difference with Rey, as I said in the previous video, is that her skills are just implied on the fact that she's an attractive young girl abandoned on a planet. So the fact that she was not a sex slave or something like that clearly shows that she had to train somehow. Even maybe she's auto-trained or something. I don't know. Well, you can train yourself with YouTube now, so can you imagine in those days, with that technology, maybe there's other ways. And also, I'm pretty sure she had a lot of practice and maybe she didn't win them all. Let's be honest about that. So that's why I'm going to give her that little bit of, leeway, but it's still pretty Mary Sue-ish because she never makes mistakes and she doesn't grow. So that part is true. Unlike with Mulan, she does make mistakes, she does grow, and she's very humble about it. And as I said, she spends most of the time on her knees, so it's not like this overpowering presence or whatever, because she's not. So that's another point. And that's where I wanted to talk, what I said, that the close quarter combat and all these kind of things, it takes away the Mary Sue character of it. And the final critique that I see is that the actress has stated support for the Hong Kong police, which is under the auspices of the Chinese Communist Party. Now, I do agree fully that this is wrong, because nobody likes the CCP. The next video I'm going to make, I'm going to talk about the CCP in Hong Kong and the situation, stuff like that. There is some nuance there, but mostly the CCP is garbage. But I'm going to give you a little hint. The protesters are not always right. I mean, there are a lot of things that they're right, like the jurisdiction thing, the law things, those are perfectly fine. But many are young millennials who are asking for welfare. So screw that. Fuck those people. I mean, seriously, you don't have a right to ask for that. Fuck off. I mean, welfare whores, fuck off. They don't have a right to ask for that because China doesn't provide welfare. So they're like, oh, we want welfare. We don't want to work and we just want to be done. There are some, but it's not the main point. All I was saying is to say that, their main points are good and there's some that are bad. So we have to take that into account. But in my humble opinion, I don't think it's a good idea to punish her or the movie or the company for things like that. Because first of all, this is about power. They don't have that kind of power. Let's be honest. If she said the CCP is a piece of shit and they should all be executed, whatever, taken down, you don't know what's gonna happen there. I mean, all the stuff that BLM complains about, which sometimes it's real, most of the time it's not. Over there happens by a hundredth power. Like in the U.S., for a black man and cooperating and unarmed to be shot, it's very low. Over there, just by bitching about something, you will get shot, arrested. Maybe she will be forced to lose her virginity, if you know what I mean. Her career will be ruined and all these kind of things. So she's basically a kid because she's a young girl and she's basically alone in this world, and you're asking her to go against this juggernaut. And I know many people are gonna be e-peening, oh, that's such a woos, you can do it. Everyone says that until they have an AK-47 pointed at their face. Because martyrs, like the ones in the Cristero Wars in Mexico, you should research about that, it's pretty interesting. Yeah, there was this guy who during the firing squad could say, "Hail Jesus King," and get shot, and he didn't care because his face was really big. But he's the exception, not the rule. There's a reason why martyrdom is considered something, very wow, epic, because not everyone does it, and not everyone can do it. So you can't go around and expecting her to go this far. And and Disney also, like, the Chinese market is nowadays is more than half the income, well, around half of all the income of all the entire planet. So them telling you fuck off, you can't be here, that's taking away half your income. So you have to understand. I mean, there are even Trump donors who have kind of like scaled down their donations. And can you imagine Trump donors? I mean, we're talking about anti-China Trump, right? That haven't been able had to scale back because they're losing money because of the trade war. So even in that situation, so okay, as I said, if you want to take it against Disney, that's fine, because at least it's a multi-billion-dollar corporation, it's powerful, whatever. You can sort of go that way. I don't personally like it because they don't have as much money as they have. It's not like, oh yeah, and they have 3 million troops, 150 ships, 10,000 airplanes to go do something about it. No, they don't. I mean, how many nukes does Disney have? Well, maybe they have a couple, I don't know, some recreational like nukes. So judging them, especially this actress, for that, which was just a passing comment, it wasn't like, fuck the protesters, long live the CCP. It was kind of like, oh, respect police. It was very Blue Lives Matter-ish kind of thing. It was very PC, but as I said, you have to understand where she is. This isn't the position where you're just gonna, get arrested or something like that. I mean, what could happen over there? You're gonna be sent to a freaking internment camp and re-educated, and that's the light part. As I said, you never know. I mean, once you're in prison, who knows? Maybe guards are gonna take turns at you, man. I mean, U.S. prisons, as bad as they are nothing compared to the ones over there. Nothing. That's a cakewalk. I mean, you can spend 100 years in the U.S. prison and not deal with a week in a communist nation's prison. Just, you have to understand the scale of the situation. So I don't think it's correct to shit on her because of that, and this boycott Mulan, blaming her and all these kind of stuff. So let's be consistent also. The same thing can be said about Amber Heard. Okay, sure, maybe she's not nationwide kind of situation, but she still did something horribly wrong. But she did actually something wrong. Wasn't forced, wasn't coerced, wasn't all these kind of things. She doesn't live under any pressure to do these kind of things. She did it because she wanted to show she's bad. But even then, we're not going to boycott Aquaman 2 because it's going to be a good movie. As if Aquaman 1 was any sign of it. So we're going to watch it. And sure, we can ask for them to take her off now, but the movie's already done. We're not going to tell them, oh yeah, you got to drop another $100 million in editing and all this kind of stuff and just do it again. Same thing with Mulan. By the time she's mentioned those comments, the movie was already done. So asking for a boycott because of something where she was forced to say, what the hell? That's not a right thing to do. So we have to understand and have to have this empathy with people, like, as I said, this is a young girl. What do you expect her to do? Oh, she's not a you're gonna judge her for that? I can assure anyone who's judging her, I put a freaking gun to their heads, or anyone does, those guys would suck me off. And they would do it gladly. And I'm pretty sure 50% of them would enjoy it. So, and that's a quickie. Can you imagine being sent to a re-education camp where that happens many times a day? Plus beatings, starvation, and brainwashing. I gave you a very quick example, and by the way, she has family. I mean, everyone's a macho until they threaten your kids, okay? Your parents. That's another thing. You might be able to scoff at bullets looking at it. Maybe you can stare death in the eye and all that. But imagine if they were threatening your family and all these kind of things, your friends. That's another tune. I mean, we've even seen the Jedi, who are supposed to be abnegate and all these kind of things in situations. Even they're portrayed when other people are at risk. That, okay. So be consistent. If you're willing to watch Aquaman 2 by allowing Amber Heard, who willingly did evil things, And sure, I'm pretty sure both you and I have asked her to be removed from future instances. She deserves the same treatment. Not even that, but there is also the possibility we don't know if she was coerced, because the things over there are very, very bad. As I said, I mean, it's a light years beyond what BLM and Antifa think in their crazy little minds the situation is. That is nothing. I mean, yeah, you know it. It's nothing. So, that's it. I think that pretty much covers the points I wanted to take. As I said, have some empathy, not a Mary Sue, enjoyable movie. I give it a 7 out of 10. I don't think it's going to be a classic. For me, classic would be 8.5 above. And as I said, also, unless someone like Filmento or like Stories of Old tells me otherwise and, changes my mind, and then I would say, okay, maybe it could be, right? But so far, it's enjoyable, it's watchable, it's a good family movie because it has a very strong family message, and I recommend it. If any other things come up, please share with me, write to me, tell me what you think, etc., and I'll touch on your points. Just don't give me some stupid ass points like someone did about this Mary Sue. No, you're wrong. Because why? Because you're wrong. Like, defeated, make mistakes, other things. Where's the Mary Sue-ish part? She literally couldn't even lock swords with a guy in front of her for more than 3 seconds, and he knocked her out. Yeah, that's very Mary Sue-ish. Take care.